And Mr. James Ash, our producer-engineer, said with a nod of the head, Viewpoint is now officially on the air. Good morning, Mrs. Busby.
Well, the poor dear can do no more than nod his head. He's got all three of his arms going busily.
Well, yeah, he's a pretty busy little guy back there.
Talk about a one-arm paper hanger.
He puts this on the air for people to see on video on WLCN online, and he's so busy using both hands and 2 feet that he can only use his head to nod and say, go ahead, you're on the air.
He's in training. He's going to join the circus and be an acrobat.
Yes, well, we've had acrobats on this program, you'll recall. Dr. Fansler, Gigi Fansler, the president of the vice president of Lincoln College Normal, was a flyer in her youthful days in college. So we kind of cover the spectrum here.
You know, I remember my mother telling about having taken me to the circus for the first time, and she said I was just awfully young, and I was very nervous about these people's behavior, and I kept saying, well, it's up to them. I don't think they should be doing that. It's up to them, though, if that's what they want to do. And you know, I never got over feeling that way when I'd watch the people at the circus flying from one trapeze to the next. I'd always think, oh, it's up to them. I don't think it's very smart.
Oh, I think one of the greatest trapeze acts that I remember, even in the adult years, and I've referred to it before on Viewpoint, is when we had Dave Merrifield here doing his act, Gillette, trapeze under a helicopter. And obviously no nets, and he flew back and forth in front of the grandstand doing his aerial acts on this trapeze suspended from a helicopter, and I thought that was pretty daring. I thought,
wouldn't there be an awful downdraft to try to perform in?
That's part of the problem, you know.
Well, once again, it's up to him.
Well, Viewpoint, we always try to start out with a kudo or two, and we're going to introduce and recognize our guest. I guess maybe Jim and Judy and Gillette that the appropriate thing they might do this morning was we have the Balloon Festival, Art Festival coming up this weekend, and we have lots of volunteers involved in that. And in fact, they're still having trouble getting enough volunteers to help. And if anybody, I think at this last minute, this last few days, if anybody wanted to help out there and volunteer in some capacity, the folks at the Chamber of Commerce would be glad to hear from you. These things don't get done with just a few people. There's, you know, even now as we start into this week, they're planning ahead for next year. And so kudos to all those folks out there. Maybe, perhaps, what do you think about a special one for Chris Grau? Because we have a new event coming up here, the barbecue cook-off, Gillette, and that's going to be a kind of a fun thing to watch. And I think Chris was probably a pretty good motivator behind that. So thanks, Chris, for that extra thinking outside the box. Do you have any unusual comments that you would like to make this morning?
Well, I guess because I'm so into
Speak right up. Don't hold back.
Hide your light under a bushel.
Okay.
Since I'm into volunteerism, since that's my other job, you know, it's a kind of a twofer. If you sign up to volunteer out at the airport to help them with the Art Fair Balloon Fest, it does something good for you, and it does something good for them. It makes you feel better, and it gets you out and about, and it could be a good time.
Yeah, get off the couch.
Any of these kinds of things.
Not that much to do on TV at that hour of the evening, or any hour for that matter. You know.
Got that right.
Well, that's another soapbox we'll
Although Gillette says that she watched History's Mysteries last night, and I made the wrong decision. I debated History's Mysteries or I'll read, and I opted for reading, and she said, oh, another mistake.
That's not all bad. That's just taking a little downtime reading. Why don't you introduce Gillette Ransom? Gillette, kind of a mover and shaker right down there in the Elkhart way, so why don't you make the formal introduction?
Well, and a busy lady right now. They're gearing up for some really big events down there that she will be telling us about. And she and her family before her have been here, mostly in the Elkhart area, weren't you?
Yes.
For How many generations?
I am 5th generation. It depends which Gillette daughter the person is descended from, whether it's 5 or 6 generations, I think, from John Dean Gillette, who
The cattle king of the world.
well, certainly the cattle king of Illinois, and according to some publications, the world, which sounds always pretty grand to me, but he certainly was out there. And my small group of cattle, numbering now 33 with 32 offspring, is nothing compared with his 1,500 that he shipped every year, which obviously meant he had a whole lot more than that.
Isn't that something?
Now, you mentioned the word shipping.
Shipping.
Now, let's talk about how they got those cattle from Elkhart Hill to the market in Chicago. You know, they didn't back up Wilbur Coben's truck.
Right. And fortunately, the railroad at that point, the Chicago-Alton Railroad, connected Elkhart and points south with Chicago. And John Dean Gillette was very close personal friends with Mr. McMullen, who was president of the CNA Railroad at that point. And as a matter of fact, named one of his prize-winning steers, who topped the scales at one time at 3,300 some odd pounds, which
Holy
is a
Friday.
big steer, after Mr. McMullen. As did he also name one after the man that was running the Union stockyards, John Sherman. And I always thought, when I looked at the paintings, which, believe it or not, there were actual formal paintings of these prize-winning steers, when I saw the label that said Sherman, I naturally assumed it was Sherman from the Civil War era Sherman. Not so. It was Sherman who was the manager of the Union stockyards in Chicago. And as a matter of fact, that particular steer's head was used as the model which still stands at the apex of the arch going into the Chicago stockyards, although it's very weather-worn at this point. Sherman was the steer that was used for the model for that head.
For those who know, go ahead, Judith. Go ahead, please.
Well, didn't he have a connection with Lincoln as well?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, long before Mr. Lincoln was president, he was, of course, in the area as a circuit court rider, the 8th Judicial Circuit, and so had many connections, among them John Dean Gillette, Virgil Hickox from Springfield, and Robert Latham, who was part of the original pioneer family that first moved to Elkhart, opening up the Logan County area.
Well, wasn't he in on the original sale of lots and the christening of Lincoln as well?
Yes, he was one of the 4 that was involved with Lincoln. I think that they were fairly close friends. As a matter of fact, Gillette was invited to be one of the personal bodyguard that accompanied Lincoln to Washington for the inauguration, which must have been a tremendous, tribute to their friendship. So there a lot of, I mean, we keep coming across things and thinking, oh my, there are tons and tons of papers, and just, who knows. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the papers that would have indicated things like Gillette's contributions to the war effort and things like that can only be presumed because there was a house fire.
Oh.
And in 1868, And although some of the records were saved, obviously some of the things were lost. And fire is a tremendous destroyer. I mean, and even the Lincoln Courthouse burned. I mean, you know, so a lot of the original Pioneer records, unless they were duplicated someplace else, are gone. And we just don't know.
And there was not much duplication efforts, I don't imagine, in those times.
Everything was
You didn't
written
have
out in
Xerox.
yeah,
No.
written out in longhand,
Not
or
so much.
you know, perhaps contracts were duplicated, but beyond that, I don't know. You know, so there's always people. I mean, I feel fortunate that the family has made an effort to record some of the things that happened, and of course, you know, being somewhat notable, you know, their pictures and newspaper clippings and things like that. But everybody who is on the planet right now has a grandfather, a great-grandfather, a great-great-grandfather on both sides, and whatever. And those advertisements on Ancestry.com or whatever it is true. Get back there and look. Everybody has a fascinating background. All of our great-great-great-grandparents, you know, got here somehow, had wonderful adventures, tragedies, happy times. It's all out there.
You know, and they came as immigrants, not expecting entitlements and handouts.
You better be
get
ready
off the
to
soapbox,
work.
Billy. Let's get on to the program here.
Yep.
Let's talk about Elkhart here now specifically. You've got a lot of things going down there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of things going
yeah.
down there. And let's get specific here and talk about the immediate things that are on the planning boards now. And we talk about some of the folks who serve on committees with you. There again, a representative of what's going on in our little county. Folks in each community get together, put their shoulders to the wheel, and go and things happen. And things are happening down there. So take it from the top, as they say in showbiz.
Well, the first thing that is going to happen actually is tomorrow evening. I am a part of, and a small part, I must say, of the Elkhart Historical Society, which was actually formed back in 1988. But we have a blessing of wonderful board members and a lot of ideas and spontaneous things, one of which is tomorrow evening's senior salute. We've invited all of the people that are in or recently from the community of Elkhart that were born in 1940 or before to come join us for dinner and a tribute to the fact that Elkhart is what it is today for a large part because of what they have contributed throughout their lifetimes. So that's number one. Number two, should I just keep going?
Well, you might as well.
We're promoting Elkhart and what's going on down there. So you just advance the throttle a little bit.
Well, a couple of years ago, we started a dinner lecture series, the Elkhart Historical Society did, and have tried to pick a variety of subjects that we thought would be interesting. And we have done things on John Gillette and a variety of different subjects, the spring wildflowers, the birds of Elkhart Hill. Upcoming this fall, the first of the series is on September 9th and is on Route 66. Just a little bit of background about Elkhart on Route 66. And then we have a marvelous quartet headed by Mike Drake, who are also part of the Lincoln Land Chorus group out of Springfield, who are going to present a full 45-minute segment of live music, including Get Your Kicks on Route 66, of course.
Of course.
And then that same weekend on Sunday September 11th. We are doing our first open-air concert with a string quartet, fairly, upscale, fun evening on the front lawn of Crowhurst, which was just in the paper. It is the farm that was one of the Gillette farms for over 100 years, and then left the family. The house and immediate grounds are where this concert is going to be held.
And so that's where your grandfather, Dr. S.W. MacArthur, lived.
That is where Dr. MacArthur, my grandfather, and my grandmother, who had beautiful rose gardens, formal rose gardens, lived after their retirement from the medical field in Chicago. So it's quite a blessing to have such good new neighbors coming in that are willing to share their beautiful property with people, and we're looking very much forward to that evening and the sunset, which with a little help from the Lord, we're going to have a beautiful sunset that night and a wonderful evening.
Yeah, we ought to tip our hat to Bob and Lynn Neal for opening up their home to us.
Oh, yes.
They're still in the process of working down there. They're not officially aboard yet, but they are living down there. And to be gracious enough to open up the property for this event is certainly very generous. So maybe a kudo to Bob and Lynn.
Oh, a big kudo, because to put additional things into their life, they are also extremely busy people, of course. And for them to be willing to be descended upon for this occasion is really.
Now this is a reservation thing, because they have to know how many are coming.
Yes,
so I want
absolutely.
to emphasize that we need to have reservations. Would you tell us how they might obtain a reservation, Mrs. Ransom?
Well, reservations must be received by September 2nd.
Around the corner.
And yes, which is coming right up. And the website is www.elkharthistoricalsociety.org. And you can download the reservation form and mail it in. And if you do not have internet capabilities, reservation forms can be obtained at Horsefeather's shop there on Main Street in Elkhart. And I would just say time is of the essence for both the Route 66 evening, Friday evening, and also the concert on Sunday.
Go right ahead there, my dear.
Very well. Well, I'm interested in that. As a matter of fact, we are attending and looking forward to it greatly. It's going to be lots of fun. When you're
I should mention that there are no cars allowed to come up the driveway.
Yes.
We are providing country limo service, which will be interesting and fun. From the village
rack
hall.
Wagons and percherons?
That's just about right. And we're not doing the horses this time, but sometime in the future, who knows. At any rate, the parking lot right across from the village hall on Governor Oglesby Street, the main street in Elkhart, is where we're asking people to park, and that is the pickup point for the limo service to the hill.
I bet that's going to be like a hay rack.
Actually, it's a farm wagon. It's actually, in fact, it's even upholstered. It's what we use for our spring wildflower and birding tours on the hill. It is a very upscale farm wagon, if you will, but it's very, very fun. And we would suggest that people come. Starting at 4 will be the first transport up the hill. The bar will be open. The food service starts at 5. The concert starts at 5:30. So we'd like everybody to be able to get up there, have a little libation should you want one, get seated, get comfortable, and not feel rushed.
If one should desire, is one BYOB, if you want to take some wine up there?
Actually, no. We are going to have a cash bar this time.
Okay.
And we do need to, for Lynn and Bob's sake, control, no glass, so we're going to have somebody being able to pour off things that arrive, that are at the bar in bottles. We will be decanting them into a plastic vessel in order to help keep any possibility of broken glass out of the picture.
We might talk about the interesting little shops that you have there on the main drag in Elkhart. Horse Feathers has certainly become a popular spot for people to go down and grab a nice bite to eat, a great bite to eat. It's no jot 'em down diner. It's a very nice little spot to eat. Absolutely. And you have other things that are of interest to, kind of a little arty stuff, but some interesting places there.
Well, and Horse Feathers has just opened its adjacent shop, Little Foxes, which has been in the paper recently as well, and it carries quite an assortment of Amish preserves and noodles and candies and things like that, as well as in the main portion of Horse Feathers there are even little bits, some nice sleepwear and handbags, antiques of all varieties, and Andrea is particularly good about antiques and helping people with appraisals and things like that. So it is, she and Peter Niehaus are both the most welcoming and outgoing people I think I've ever met. They are quite a boon to Elkhart. And
doesn't her sister do art lessons upstairs?
Yes,
Renee Sisk?
Yes, Renee.
Well, she was the art teacher for District 27 here in Lincoln for a number of years, and she's very good.
Oh, she is delightful. She helps also down in the shop on occasion, and is very willing to help the Historical Society when we need a fast poster or a cover for our annual calendar. She is just, the whole family is so outgoing and hospitable. Yes. It's just wonderful. They're a blessing.
We're going to take a couple of minutes for a commercial break, but as we do, I'm going to ask somebody out there to help me out. The old geezer had a mental break. I was thinking of the stockyards a while ago when we were talking about Chicago stockyards, and I was thinking of Upton Sinclair's novel. Oh, it just hit me, I think.
What?
The name of it was The Jungle. But if I'm right about that, please 648-5510 if I'm correct about that. 648-5510. Go ahead, Mr. Ash.